Oh, hey, Tommy. In nice and early. I just started, so we'll give it a couple minutes, but we're going to play around and just make probably a set of tongs. I didn't have any 5/8 square stock, so I just cut off a couple railroad spikes so I would have some 5/8 square. I'm going to play around and see how this works. I have made very, very few tongs from scratch. I mean, I've got quite a few tongs where I've used, like the Ken's custom iron blanks, the tong blanks, and made like scrolling tongs, and these are my tongs for really, really small, like 1/8 inch square. And I used to have a whole lot of I still do. I still got a whole lot of those Ken's custom iron tongs made from the blanks. And they're nice, they're easy, they work fairly well. I didn't want to mess with the heads. I mean, yeah, I could have. Would have gave me a little bit more material, not very much, because I literally cut them right below the heads. Here's another set of them Ken's tongs. Those are for the railroad spikes. So you can just grab the spikes from the head. They work pretty well. Rarely do I ever use spikes. Tonight I just figured I needed 5/8. I didn't really need 5/8. I had some 3/4 inch sucker rod I could have used in the back, but it was just something different. So we'll get the fire going, see who stops in. It's in between the holidays. Maybe there's somebody sitting around this board. I'm going to try like a set of bolt jaw tongs. And to be totally honest, I've made maybe 5 sets of tongs out from scratch. So this may be good, this may not be bad. The last pair of bolt tongs I made, I ended up leaving way too much material out there, and they ended up being absolutely huge. Considering those are for like 5/8. So we will, I'm not in a big hurry. I don't know if I'm going to put both of them in the fire and keep going back and forth. I'll probably just do one half and then do the next. Maybe I'll put the other one in. The only problem with that is that I risk burning them up easier, especially when you're talking and not paying much attention. So I measured down. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna leave an inch or use an 1.5 inches to make my whole the whole jaw. So I've got a chisel mark at 1.5 inches. And then I'm thinking, hey Tom, And then I'm thinking I left an inch after that for the boss. Just trying to get that mark. You can see I started to set a nice deep notch in there. And that's where my jaw will be from there out. Figure if I stretch that out to probably the width of my anvil, which is 3 inches, that should give me enough to do that. And not end up being absolutely huge like that other set that I made. So I'm going back to that one because, well, no I'm not. I guess I got to push it in the fire a little further. Cut my air down a little bit so that I don't, so it would heat up slower and not burn it as much. But I do still have to watch them pretty close. Alright, so we're going to take that . I'm going to start drawing that right out. Alright, let's grab our other one, find our marks. I'm just going on this side in the beginning to get a nice sharp corner. To get it started. Big notch. Let's keep going. I'm going to tip my hammer. Draw that material out. See, I'm starting to draw that out. It's still pretty thick, a lot thicker than I'm envisioning in my head what it needs to be. But it'll get there. And the last pair of tongs I made, I took a bar and made the tong ends on both ends, then drew out the reins in between, and then, hey Jeff, and then wrapped them around, put the rivet in it, and never cut them apart. I seen, I think it was Bill Corey had a set like that in the gallery at Quad State, and I thought they were funny, so I had to make a set. So we're gonna keep going on that. It's still pretty tight. I mean, there's a new pace. Alright, so we're going to keep going on this. Once again, you'll see me just tipping my hammer. Driving it down in it, stretching that material. You can see how jagged it is because I was driving the corner in. Then I can go back and straighten it up. So we're getting there on that one. My anvil is 3 inches wide, so I can use that as the gauge to know when I'm getting there. Once again, so that's going to need another heat at least. I can go back to the first one. And right now all I should have to do on this, I got the length I need, I think. So now I shouldn't have to do much more, just clean it up. Clean it up, set it down. Get the hammer marks out of it. Alright, so now you can see I've got that drawn down. It's reasonably flat, doesn't have a bunch of marks in it. I'm going to set this one aside for right now, put it on the edge of the fire while I catch up with the other one. So, bring this one out once again, dig it in. Take one more heat. I mean, this is looks a lot hotter than what it is on the camera. So we'll go back in and I will do a little more on it. Like I said, I haven't made very many pairs of tongs by hand. I've done a lot of just the Ken's custom iron blanks and whatnot, just because it saved a lot of work, and I didn't see the need to make the tongs if I could just buy the blanks and do them easy. Now I'm getting a little older and starting to do more of trying to do it the right way, I guess you could say. Alright, so you can see that's drawn out pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them next to each other and double check and see how close they are to each other. Because they both went a little bit longer than the face of my anvil. Okay, so this one here is about not quite a quarter of an inch longer than that one. So I'm going to set that one aside. I'm going to put this one in and draw it out just a little bit more. They're not going to be too short on the reins. I mean, figure I've got well, let me check, a good 3 inches of 5/8 material to make the reins out of. So that should pull out pretty good. Yeah, and I picked up tongs at garage sales and stuff like that. You know, and it just seemed like whenever I did that, 9 out of 10 times I ended up with tongs that just barely fit and didn't work very well. They didn't fit very well. Some of them you were able to adjust and get them to fit better, but like I said, I think it's kind of been a crapshoot for me trying to find them at auctions or estate sales or anything like that. Alright, so let me draw that out, maybe just a little bit more. Let me stop before I go too far. Check it. So now I can set it down. I don't know how good you guys can see that. And what I'm doing is lining up the shoulders and seeing where they are on the end. Right now they're the same length. So that's pretty good. Now, I think I'll want to come back, leave an inch here, come back and set down where my reins are going to be and start making that boss. But the question is, do I want to do it the traditional 3-step method, which is the next step would be to hold it at an angle and come in and hit here and start thinning it? Or do I want to make the boss and then come in and thin it afterwards? The navy hook. What was a navy hook? Alright, I think I'm going to spin them around. Maybe I'll do it kind of the traditional way-ish. Another thing is I got to remember which way it's got to go. And I'm going to grab from the other end. So I think it's got to go that way. Good, get a apparent look. You know, these are hard to tell because they're almost straight across on this one. I guess there's no reason why I can't go almost straight across on it. But nowadays, you can see all these, this whole rack is all tongs that I bought. Brand new tongs. Most of them are Dave Custer Fiery Forge. I really like these tongs. They're very lightweight. They're comfortable, lightweight. You just got to remember that you can't quench them. Alright, so looking at that set there, they were almost straight across. So I'm going to do straight across. So you can see, got the notch in. I'm going to have to draw all that down to continue on. I may end up just going over and doing some of this right on the power hammer, just to make it go fast. It doesn't have to go faster. We're all here hanging out. Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to go faster. I'll just do it by hand. And besides that, some people don't have a power hammer, so they want to see it done by hand. Well, the only problem I got now is I put an inch mark for my boss, but now that mark is going to get stretched, and it's no longer going to be an inch from where the other one was. So I guess I'll just have to eyeball it and guess. So we can just start bringing that down and drawing it out. Because that's going to be the boss and the reins. The other one I got kind of over on the edge of the fire. I don't want to burn one up. Yeah, it is a lot of drawn out material, but that's hammer control. So, you know, you got to look at it that way too. And how much of your blacksmithing do you do that isn't drawn out material? Broken? Why'd you break it? Alright, once again, tipping my hammer, coming in, digging the corner of that hammer right into that piece. And drawing it right out. You can see the marks it's leaving. Because it's drawn the material. Now I'm going to go right back in. I'm going to keep the heat up so that I can do this much faster and not have to work as hard. What's wrong with your hammer, Tim? And what kind of hammer do you have? Is it a homemade or a tire hammer or air hammer? Lost track of how many times. Yeah, and I'm the opposite, Tom. I just didn't want to make tongs. It didn't make hardly any. What I'm doing now is just looking and trying to get it all the same thickness down through. I've got plenty of material with which to make reins. Oops. All right. All right, so I got that beat down pretty consistent over the length. It fell on the ice and ended up bent knee tongs. All right, let me put the other one in, and I'll start getting caught up on that one. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I started with a railroad spike, so I started with 5/8 material, and all I cut off was the head, so that gives me 5/8 material of maybe 5.5 inches. That's a lot of material, even for a set of bolt jaw tongs. Okay, I'm going to get a real good heat on this. I'm going to take it up almost to welding heat so that I can get a lot of work done faster. I'm going to take my other one and okay. I guess it doesn't matter because I'm going straight across it. But it does matter. Hold on. Okay. Yep, this way. So I took it up and got that real hot heat and then lost it all. So I put a big notch in there. I'll heat it back up, come back in and get it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't watched me before, you'll see I tip my hammer rather than going over. Sometimes I'll go over the edge of the anvil to draw. Hardly ever. You'll almost never see me out on the horn. But you'll see me draw a lot of times just simply by tipping my hammer and driving that corner right in. Hey, Kevin. Wayne Heiss. How you doing, Wayne? Another new person. Word's getting out. I've been tinkering around doing Sunday live streams for a little while now. Just kind of, you know, when Yamez quit, I kind of, you know, needed my fix on Sundays. Once again, the angle of the hammer, digging it right in. Walking it right down. So you can see it's pulling notches. I'll go back and take them out later, but that's drawing it out similar to what you would do if you went over the horn and I don't know. I can't say for sure. I don't do enough out on the horn to tell you which is better. To me, it seems like that would be more aggressive because it's a smaller radius than the horn. Ceiling is almost done. Yeah. Hope you're get better before quad state, Tim. I mean, you know, that's the one time of the year I see you, so. All right, so we'll come out and we'll just draw that out a little more. We're going to take it down until it's probably 3/8 of an inch thick. Alright, let me compare it to the other one. Still got a ways to go, both dimensions. In length, and I'm thicker than that one. So, maybe I want to be a little bit thinner than 3/8. Because 3/8 and 3/8 would be 3/4, and my bar is 5/8. Hey Ray, what's up? We're just playing around doing a set of tongs. Definitely not my specialty. And Alexis is here. Bought a treadmill. Huh. So what are we going to make with a treadmill motor? Are we making a belt sander? Alright, so we're still drawing that out. Once again, dig that corner in. When I get close to that shoulder, I'll flip it over and make sure my shoulder's down over the edge so I don't damage it. I'm starting to get pretty close to where my other one is, so now I'll start taking them hammer marks out. Actually, just as far as the other one. So I don't want to draw anymore, I just want to, yep, 2x72. I just want to flatten so that it spreads both ways. We'll clean that up. Then we'll go in, we'll make our boss. Then before I draw the reins, we'll do the bows on the jaws to make them bolt jaws. Finally move the drill press and bench grinder into the little room behind your set. Okay, so now that means you got to go off camera into the other room every time you want to drill a hole, or are you going to have a camera in there too, or? All right. All I'm doing right now is just flattening and taking hammer marks out. Trying to get it smooth, straight, consistent thickness all the way down along the length of it. And yeah, that's not the way most people make tongs. Put the thing is, I think I had messed them up already. Because the tongs are supposed to be a mirror image of each other. Think here. Tongs are supposed to be a mirror image of each other, so I have two opposites, so I need to fix that. So what I need to do is heat this up really, really hot and push that boss over to the other side. And if you don't have it super, super hot, you'll crack it. So, let's see what we can do. I can use the cross peen if I'm doing this way, and I can just tip that if I'm going that way. I could go get a straight peen. I mean, I've got a straight peen I used forever. This used to be my quote-unquote daily driver. It was a 2.5 pound straight peen Nathan Robertson. But I got this cross peen and I've been playing with it. But sometimes I do go back to the straight peen, but not very often. I think I prefer using the cross peen than the straight. And then if I do need the straight peen, I can just tip it. Hey, well, yeah, we're starting to get big time. I might have 25 subs by the end of this. Okay, we're getting it good and hot, and then we're going to push it right to the other side because I messed up and went the wrong way. So we're going to put it right there and looks good. So what I did was I took that piece that was on this side and pushed it the other way. So now I have two that are the same. Alright. So now I'll want to come out, probably grab this other end, come out, put it about there, drive it down, and that'll form the boss and start the ring. Like I said, I already had it marked out to give myself an inch right there. But unfortunately, when I hammered it down the other way, I wasn't thinking that that mark was going to stretch. So now I just have to eyeball it. Alright, good seeing you, Wayne. A double diagonal. They seem alright, but then what happens when you want a flat? You have to go back to another hammer. I don't know, I'm starting to sound like the Kool-Aid drinkers, trying to do it all with one hammer. And the bad part is I got a rack with 50 hammers back there. Different shapes and sizes, and I find myself doing a lot of it with just one hammer. Alright, so now we're going to go to the opposite side. Going to hang about an inch off. Drive it down. Make the boss. Now you can see you're starting to get that boss in there where your rivet goes. I'm going to throw the other one in, heat that up. Do the same thing on this one. This one I actually have a twist in it I'm going to straighten first. Just the Kool-Aid drinkers, that's I get along great with Rob Hoof. Trust me, I don't hate the Brazil nuts at all. But it's just like a friendly little, you know, we say that they're like a little cult. They're actually good guys, good blacksmiths, most of them. I mean, I don't do too bad, but you also got to remember that I'm not a full-time blacksmith. I'm a hobbyist. Let me stick this in here. Get the twist out of it. That's all. Go back in and heat it back up. So yeah, everybody, you know, used to what's that? A four-sided hammer. Somebody did one of them, Captain. I can't remember, but somebody did do one. It looked just like if you imagine your hammer here, but then there was another one here and another one here. And you had four different faces. And you could turn it. And the handle was perfectly round. It was just, I don't remember who did it. They posted it online years ago. Alright. Okay. Good and hot. We want to go the other side. Maybe an inch. I'm going to compare my boss with my other one and say that I have too much. And you can see I'm just putting another notch right next to it and making it smaller so that I can match my other one. And you can still see a little bit of a remnant there. If you supposed to remember everything, I want to see one. Yeah, this was, Tom, I'll be honest with you, it was years and years ago. Probably at least 15 years ago that I saw that picture that somebody made of a four-sided hammer. It may have been longer than that. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in here that remembers back in the day there was a blacksmith in Form called King Junk. Alright. Go ahead and clip that down the rest of the way. All right. Now I'm going to work on that boss a little bit. Number 15 most of the time. Yeah, you know, some guys love the rounded hammers. Don't get me wrong, I mean, and if you watch the guys that are using the rounded hammers, even when they're using the rounded hammers on the round side, they're still tipping and digging in the edge of the hammer, same as I am. So that goes back to years and years and years ago. A blacksmith that I knew when I was starting out told me, he said, I don't think of my hammer as a flat hammer. He said he thinks of his hammer as 4 pullers and a flatter. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out what the heck he was talking about. And I didn't have the hammer control to make it work anyway. Right now I'm just working the boss. Like I said, I didn't have the hammer control, so he was saying, oh, you think of my hammer as 4 pullers and a flatter, and I was like, oh, well, okay, yeah. Alright, let me work my other one and get it a little thinner and make it a little bigger diameter.
To this day, I still use number 2 as my daily driver.
Yeah, and you know, guys, to be honest with you, in the last few years, I've gone to lighter hammers. I'm liking the 2.5 pound. But for a long time, that was my hammer. And that's about a 4.5 pounder. I don't use that one very often anymore. Oh, sorry. That was the bigger one. I didn't use that a whole lot. I used that one. And that was a 5.5 pounder. And that one's about a 4.5. And I used that one for a long time. But I'm getting a little older. Not as strong as I used to be. I've gone down to a 2.5 pounder. All right. Look, compare my 2 bosses. I think I'm good there. I think I'm going to flip this around and start drawing out rings. Like I said, I could go do them with the power hammer, but not everybody has one, so. I've been blacksmithing for a while now, and if there is one thing I got good at, especially when I was making, doing a ton of scrolls and stuff, it was drawing out. I don't know who's new here that hasn't seen my hammer. My hammer is it's a homemade tire hammer, but it's not traditionally like most people would, most people's tire hammers. My tire is just in the back. And I've got a leaf spring instead of a, and I can give it, where's just barely to hammer it. It doesn't have the greatest control on it. All right. What I'm doing is kind of bringing it down, getting it close to square before I do any heavy drawing. Number 2 and 11. There's a small one. Oh, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, if I go put that away and get this big one out, it will draw a lot faster. Without even, you know, just using my round side without even digging the corners in. But you'll get tired faster too using it. Oop, tongue slipping. I mean, it'll draw, but you'll get tired. I mean, 2-3 heats like that, and I'll start to feel it. Never used to be that way. Go back about 10 years ago and I could have swung that for hours. You went to visit Sammy Towns? Alright, so now I'll go back to my other one and just dig that corner in. Like I said, I might just do the other one. I'll do one side just so you can see, hey, I can do it. I might do the other one right in the power hammer. Or get it most of the way in the power hammer. You can see it's drawn out. It's going. You can't be afraid to hit it. I mean, if you are, you'll never get anything done. Another thing I'm kind of working on too that I guess I never really paid attention for years, but I'm working on raising my hammer up higher and getting a really good long swing on it. Zero rain at the moment. It's absolutely disgusting. Yeah, we're getting rain right now too. It just turned to rain, warmed up a little bit. I kind of took all the snow that we got, because we did get a good storm the other day, and I pushed it all right off the end of my driveway. You can see it's drawn down. Once I get close, I don't tip the angle as much, because if I dig in too deep, then I end up having to do a lot of extra drawing just to get the rest of it smoothed out to it. New hammer will start working better when I take the bubble wrap off of it. Yeah. Well, that never hurts, Kevin. Like I said, the other one I may go over and just do it in the power hammer, or at least do roughing it and then come back over here and make it match the other one. Yeah, I took all my snow and pushed it all right off the end of my driveway, because there's a drop off right at the end of my driveway that drops down, I don't know, about 6 feet down. But in the past, I've only went to the edge and stopped. And last year we got so much I had to have my neighbor come over with his big tractor. And we're still going. A couple more heats and we'll be there. I had to have my neighbor come over with his big tractor and push the bank back. So this year, I'm pushing everything off that end, and I took my little mini excavator out and packed it all down, and then let it harden up, and now I can drive right out on top of it. So I was plowing yesterday we got about 8 inches of snow. So I went out and I plowed it with my skid steer. But my skid steer's got wheels, so I can't drive right out on top of the snowbank. So I pushed it up with everything, because it's so much faster with the skid steer. Pushed everything else out there, and then so you see we're drawn down. I'm starting to get smooth that up and make it nice and straight and smooth. Remove hammer marks and whatnot. I got a little bit more. So yeah, so I started driving out with the excavator out on top of the snowbank. The skid steer, the wheels just sink in, but the excavator drives right out. So I got the excavator all the way out on the end of this snowbank, and I should have took a picture of it, because the excavator's like 6 foot off the ground, sitting on top of the snowbank. Is what it looks like from the bottom side, but from the top side it's just level with my driveway. Yeah, the weather's kind of wonky around here. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. Alright, let's work them last few inches. Right now I'm doing what Rob Hupp calls banging flats, but I'm just trying to smooth it up now. And get my taper, you know, to taper nice and gracefully down the length of that. And get the wide spots and the thin spots out. There's a lot more material there. If I want to keep going, I can make that certainly much longer. I'm going to take one more heat, then I'll switch over and do the other one. Listen to Thomas. Speaking of Thomas, I still have your thing here. I haven't even gotten around to mailing it out. Your hold down, but the problem is I can't remember which one it is. I know which one it's not. Which two it's not. I think it was this one. But soon I will get that in the mail. Alright, let me draw that out a little more. And this is the part where a lot of blacksmiths, they get to where they're like, it's close enough. And they just want to move on to the next step. And you can't, I mean, you try to explain to them that, hey, spend a few more minutes doing it and your work will look a lot better. But a lot of blacksmiths, they get impatient and they want to move on. So, you know what, before I flip that around, let me put it back in, let me knock the corners off that. And then that side will be, the reins will be finished once I knock the corners off. I don't even have to knock the corners off all the way up through, just where you're going to grab. Yeah, I haven't got around to making it to the post office with him. I didn't forget you. It's the holiday season, Alright, so we got that much done. We'll do that. One more heat. That's the thing, when I blacksmith, I'm not in a race. If I don't like the looks of it, I'll just take the time and take another heat. I kind of rush sometimes when I'm doing the live streams, which I really should just stop doing and be like, hey, you want it to look nice, take the extra steps. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got a few of them. In different sizes and shapes. Alright. Alright. So how do your tongs come out, Tom? I mean, you said you've made quite a few, but are you happy with them? Okay, so I rounded up the edges so that I wouldn't have any rough spots when I grab. Got it drawn out. Not sure what the length is just yet. Not really concerned. Actually going to flip them and straighten out that boss. And do a little bit of work on that boss before I move on to the other side. And I don't, well, I probably have it. I'll have to look, see if I got any rivets here. I haven't used any in so long. I mean, oh yeah. Alright, I guess, yeah. I guess a quarter. 3/8 is too big. That should be big enough. I think it's a 5/16. Heat that up. Yeah, 0.308. Well, that's got to be a 5/16 because quarter is 0.25 and 3/8 is 0.375. Alright, let me see if I can make this boss look right. So I was just fixing the boss. I'm going to set that one aside. Grab the other one out. Let me clean my fire a little bit real quick. I figure I only got about 15 more bags of this subpar coal before I can get back into the good stuff. But in the meantime, it does work. Yeah, I mean, and trust me, if you saw some of my earlier pairs of tongs, oh my God, talk about horrendous. And most of them, I, pulled them out and talked about how horrible they were, and to like a new blacksmith or something, and they're like, oh, those will still work, and so I give them to them. I'm trying to think if I have any here that I made. I mean, this was the last pair I think I made. Bolt jaw tongs, but I left way too much material. I mean, the bosses came out all right. Everything lined up. They do fit 5/8 pretty good. I mean, they do work. Just I left way too much material, and these ended up being way longer than they were supposed to be. What else? I tried a set of these, and these are different because they pass through. But I mutilated them and they didn't come out well. They do work, but not very well. But it was just a weird design. Someday I'll make the tool to drift that hole and keep it nice and square. That was the biggest problem with it, was I couldn't keep it nice and square. No. But here's a pair that I made that actually came out halfway decent. But one side was way thicker than the other side. And I almost could have turned that into a set of box jaw tongs and it would have looked better. Then I was goofing around one day and I made this tong. Probably could have got a little fancier with the dragon. My daughter is at a Buffalo Bills and Eagles football game. She's a Eagles fan, and they're playing in Buffalo. So my wife just told me that my daughter was on TV and like one of the very few Eagles fans in the Buffalo Stadium. All right. Let's get this one in. Got a good hot fire going now. I was worried about saving coal. I'd get my water bucket out and cool that fire down and make it a little smaller, but I am not too worried about it. I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Oh, 35 bags of coal, 50-pound bags, so. That's enough to last me quite a while. Or maybe not, now that I'm blacksmithing a little more often. So yeah, I think to speed it up, I'll probably go over there and do a little bit of it on the power hammer, get it down 3/4 of the way to where I need to be, and then I'll come over and finish it by hand. Just because, you know, I mean, watching me draw out rings is like watching paint dry. And then we can get on to the good part and see how close I am on the, to whether I left roughly the right amount of material in order to make the bolt jaws. Like I said, my last attempt, you saw them. They were huge. I left way more than I needed to. And the bad part was I followed directions that somebody else had written out. Alright, so we're stretched out quite a bit in one heat. I think we'll do one more heat over there and then the rest we'll just finish up by hand. Haha, and she said that we wouldn't be able to see her because she had crappy seats, but apparently when you're wearing all green in a sea of blue. And I told her there may be so few of them that they might put her on the Jumbotron. Okay, so you can see we're did more in 2 heats than I probably did by hand in 5. But oh well, we'll get there. So now what I'll do is move a couple things here. I will lay my other one up there so that I can kind of just compare it on the taper real quick. So it's nearby. Notice I'm not reaching way up because I'm not drawing heavily. I'm just kind of evening it out. I'm almost there to match the other one already. So yeah, too bad we didn't have Oh, the DVR still. Oh yeah, we're getting pretty close. Finish up that last few inches and I think I'll be about ready to start rounding it.
Two take, two time, two make. Good.
Yeah, I mean mine, I try to make them look good, but you know, I mean at some point you hit a wall and you're like, yeah, that's as good as I'm going to be able to get them. And then you watch full-time blacksmiths that swing a hammer all day, every day, walk up and just forge out a pair, and half the time twice as nice. Alright, this is actually longer than the other one already. So, in the end, I may just snip a little bit off with the hot cut to make them the exact same length. What, nobody's talking anymore? Did I? No, I got no drop frames. I'm still here. So I got about half. Now, put it in farther in the fire. Work up a little farther. Yeah, nobody's talking anymore. Huh. Now I don't know if anybody's even watching anymore. Nobody's talking. Someday I'll figure out how to find out how many people are watching at that time. I mean, in real time while I'm streaming, because I actually can go back with the analytics and see how many people watched at certain points. Well, I'm jabbering along because I'm trying to keep the conversation going because, you know, nobody else is talking. I know, all you guys are thinking, God, I wish Yamas would start forging again. Alright, straighten this up. Straighten it up. Let's see, how close am I? Yeah, it's about half an inch longer than the other side. I'll worry about it at the end. So let me flip it around. Go in and fix that boss right there. Fix the whole boss, I guess. Then decide whether I want to punch the hole or drill it. Thomas, he's been here the whole time. Jeff's still here. All right. I just, thought that I might be all alone again because nobody was talking. I don't like being alone, I guess you can. Chicken in the Instapot and broccoli, and everybody sees it. Yeah, we cook with the Instapot here too quite a bit. It's different. My wife's done a few pork roasts in the Instapot. They came out pretty good and they cook pretty fast. Just working on the boss. I have some room to play with it because it is a little wider than the other one. All right. Alright, so I guess we got to kick them out. First we'll take a little bit off there. I think they're both about the same length if I remember right. Yep. So we can take maybe a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch or so and bend it to almost 90. That's still a little warm. And then we'll make the things. And then I'll have to put the V-bit or the V-groove in it and size it for, I don't know, ½ inch, 3/8 maybe. Nothing too big. They're not very big, long tongs. Alright. So, let me hang off. Alright, so you can see I got that bent because it's going to bend like that, and that's going to be the flat spot, which is there. So now I think I'll take the other one before I go any farther and make sure I get this one to match. I know I should have both these pieces in there at the same time, working back and forth, and that would speed it up. It certainly would. Well, that's heating up. Let me go see if I have. Punch. That's pretty close, but the end has a taper on it. I don't want that, so I'm going to go just grind it flat. Alright, now I got a nice flat. And because every time I've ever seen anybody do these, almost every time, they drill a hole. We could drill a hole, but what the heck? We're blacksmiths. Alright. It's been hanging over about yay much. Compare this to my other one on the size. Okay, I want to take a little bit out. Made it just a little bit too long. That's alright, we can fix that. I mean, it's not very much too long. Yeah, that's more better. Alright, so we got our bend there. We'll heat up back here and bend that so that it's sticking off that way. I'm thinking I should probably do that before I try to punch the hole. That way it doesn't deform the hole if I do that step after I do the hole. Clear as mud. Get my fancy tongs out here. That I can hold this with if it fit them. I have another set that's a little bit smaller, but they're the ones that I mutilated stacking quarters at Quad State. Yeah, short ribs. There's my punch. come over here. This is something where I might want to take more heat and do it in the vise so that I don't twist that whole boss. So I think that's the way I'm going to want to do it. Let me clean out my fire a little. She is way, way, way full of clinker. Yeah, years ago I had this coal that I could forge for hours with. And it would produce a nice clinker after, you know, a few hours. But you'd reach right in, you know, and just shut your air off, let it sit there for maybe 45 seconds to a minute, and you could reach right in and pull a nice donut of clinker out. It stuck together nice, it came out in one piece. This stuff here, it makes the clinker, and the clinker doesn't stay together. It just falls right apart. So it's hard to get the clinker out. Alright, so let's get this back in and heat right where the boss is. And we'll try to bend that. I'll probably go over and do it right here in the vise. I wish I had a camera at the vise, but I don't. Such is life. I don't want to have to switch back and forth between cameras, and if I had 3 cameras up there on the screen, the boxes would all be so small you wouldn't be able to see me. Probably wouldn't be a bad thing. Go a little warmer. I want to get it really, really warm so I don't put any cracks in it and like bend it. Form any cold shuts. Nah, you didn't miss anything. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now you can see I got it bent up. Should just be a matter of bending that around until the tab that I made on the end is pretty much almost flat down on the anvil. That should be it. obviously it doesn't want to be flat because you want it to line up with the halfway mark. And that's a little bit too far. That don't look bad. Alright, so now we got that end made. We're going to go over, we're going to throw our other one in. I know, pain in the butt. I keep letting them cool off and then putting them back in. And not doing both at the same time. Alright. So I gotta go over, clamp it in the vise, knock it over about 45 degrees. Holy cow, this might be the first live stream I finished at a decent time. As long as I don't mess them up. Alright, so I got that back. This side did not come out quite as nice as the other side. I may go in there and try to fix that a little bit before I move on. It's hard to explain, right? I got a bump in there that in the other side I don't have the bump and it looks nice, and this side it kind of looks like to me. So alright, I got some of that bump out right there that was bothering me. It's not perfect, but we'll move on. But yeah, the pulled pork, short ribs. The Instant Pot does make the food pretty fast and pretty tender. But that last one bent around so easily. And this one's going to be a pain in the butt. Wouldn't you know it? So, I got it bent around. What I got to do right now is put it back in, Take a good heat on it. Take my other one and lay it over here so that I can make them both match. Alright, so actually we're not that bad. We just need to tuck that in and tighten that up. Uh-oh. Alright, right there I need more bend. And it's got to be a pretty localized, concentrated bend. So, back to the vise we go. If your tools look nice, it has a subconscious effect on your other work. Yeah, my tools look nice because somebody else made them nicely. Because over the years, I've kind of been getting rid of my older tools and buying good ones over the last few years. That does not look too bad. This is cold enough. So I got my left and my right. They're going to go together. They're not going to be ridiculously large looking. I think it'll be all right. So now what I will do, I have a cold shot right there. I don't know if anybody can see that. I know exactly what it's from. It's from way back in the beginning, and it's not very deep. So I'm just going to hit it with a file and take it right out. It was from right back in the very beginning when I took that extra pinch. And that wasn't that hard, it is gone. Alright, so, right there, I want to knock that corner off a little bit, so I'm going to just file that off real quick. Yeah, screw this. I'm going to file it off real quick. Over here. go, all gone. Took me a minute to file that notch in there. I'm going to do the same thing in that corner. And the other one, I just didn't hold it at an angle. When I did it. All right, so we have to do a couple things here. We have to take the little twist out of that. Okay, so we have to put our V in the jaw and then punch our hole. So to put my V in the jaw, I got just a piece of scrap that I ground a 90 degree on that I can use to make that V in the jaw. I suppose I could throw up a swage block, set it here in the swage, and drive that V into it, which I might do after I put a line in it that I know is good and close to center. And then hopefully I took the extra time earlier and I don't have to spend a whole lot of time with the fiddly bits trying to get everything lined up, because I paid attention to it while I was doing the earlier steps. This has some welding in it. All right. Just trying to get a nice line in it, as close to the center as I can. Tip it a little bit, try to push it. All right, and that's not very deep. Just enough to guide me when I get the swage block up there. I could even use my new swage block because I got the new one. Yeah, my wife likes cooking in the Instant Pot. It makes everything tender, cooks it really fast. You don't have to sit there and watch it. Just throw it in and kind of come back when the timer goes off. All right, so now we'll put a considerably deeper notch in it with our 90 degree, and we'll throw it up in the So it didn't go very dead center like I was hoping. But it's a pretty deep notch. So now that I got that, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do the next one right now. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. Punch a hole in there. No sense in losing the heat that I do have and letting it cool down. I mean, this fire really needs to get shut down and cleaned out. So I think what I want to do is take a center punch. Yeah. It'll work. That's the one I wanted. Not the one I wanted, but it'll work. When I drive that down in, it'll push some of the material out of the way before I come in with the flat. And this was out of just a commercial set, and I think the pins were like that long, and these all got bent over the years and stuff, and I just cut them down and use them for blasting. Alright, let me go out, go up here, go about in the center. Yep, I like that. Okay, right across my extension cord. Alright, set it down here and get a good grip on it. You can see I put a divot in there. This is where I really probably should just get a longer one of these, huh? My hand's not so close to it. Okay, this one was just made out of a piece of spring steel. No heat treatment, just the way it comes out. Let me bump that down in there a little deeper. Alright, now I'll take another heat. I was hoping to spread some of the material out with that before I went in with this because it's flat, but I don't think it really moved anything. Oh well, you live, you learn. Not a big deal. Alright. Pressure cooker. Now, Tim, that's actually pretty much what an Instant Pot is. It's just a pressure cooker. All right. I can hear it now. Punch lube. Now, one thing I learned a long time ago is that these shear off better at low temp. Dagnabbit. There's my slug. May have to punch that out with another punch. Yeah. Punch lube, I know. Be funny if I got that one stuck too. To be honest with you, I usually just grab cold up because I actually don't have any punch lube. So, our hole is in there. It's a mighty nice hole. Our rivet fits nice and tight. Set that down, do the other one. Now, because I did that way, I'm going to do the other one the same way. I'm going to come in with that other punch first. Even though it's an extra step I probably don't need to do. Alright, so first thing I got to do is put my B in there. Before I punch my hole. I got that one, and my short punch is pretty warm. Surprised it didn't deform my. Went right to it. So when I get done, this will probably be one of the ugliest pairs of bolt jaw tongs we've ever seen. Nah, just kidding. That other pair I had was pretty ugly. So all I got to do is beat that and I'm doing good. So at least the bar is set real low. Alright, so we got our start mark there. Now we can put our swage block up there. Pound that in. I don't know, I guess it depends what's the most popular size tongs. For me, probably, I want to say 3/8 is real popular size for me over the years. 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. Alright, so I got my notch in there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there we go. notches in there. Put her in the fire a little deeper. Heat that boss up, get that hole punched in there, and get this project finished. Holy cow. But yeah, I mean, I could make them fit probably 3/8 square around. Usually if you make them for 3/8 square, they do fit round. This requires me to find a piece of 3/8 square, which I know I have some of. So we got a piece of 3/8 square to size it to when we get to it. So who's still here? I know Alexis is, Tim, Thomas, Trail Dust. All right. All right, I got a guide. That's pretty much just that. Just to let me know, kind of line up my other one. Grab my other one. Grab the set of tongs to hold them. Maybe we can do this without getting it stuck in there, but I doubt it. Jeff Killian's still here. Lexus was 40 seconds behind. What's new? Let's come in. Get there. Ah! Well, that's not good. Drop forged. Isn't that the part where everybody's supposed to start drinking? Still got heat. Okay. I'm going to go back, heat it again. Cold punch. I'll give it another try. I lost a lot of heat when I dropped it. I'm so far behind that I don't know. Hey, are you high? Dragging all along. Where's your flaps? You're up in your pockets and you walk over your fork. A flap? Oh. Oh, hey, stop looking at my butt! Man, I tell you. Yeah, they're just old work pants from my last job, actually. When I left, I said, they're like, you got to turn in your uniforms. And I'm like, all my uniforms are in my locker except for the pair I'm wearing. And you can count on the fact that I am not coming back to return this pair. Yeah, I don't like that. I hate this. When you know you shouldn't have hit it that one last time, but you did anyway. And the problem is you got that boss right there that you don't want to destroy, so you can't set it down like this because it's not close enough. Well, maybe. All right. So you can see it's punched in there deep. I probably don't even have to warm it up to get it to punch out the slug, because they do actually shear better if they're cold. So I'll flip it, come in. Alright, my thing is there, came right out. Come on. Of course, you have the most problems with that when you're doing a live stream. Now I'm trying to get it out without bending it all the heck. So there we go. So we got it. We got our hole. Nice, nice. We're going to take a heat on it and just straighten everything back out. And we can put our rivet in. Rivet it together. But yeah, you can see here's my slug that gets punched out. All right. Okay. I really need to push that down, but without distorting it. So the best way to do that I know of is to just grab a set hammer. And do it with a set hammer. All right. Set right down there. Grab your set hammer. Put it right there. Pound that flat. And that was just to get that all in one straight line right there. All right. So, let me check and see. I've got a lot of tweaking around, so I got to make sure my rivet still fits. It does from that side. Alright, so we got the rivet in. There's a lot sticking out. So what I'll probably do is grind some of that off. And then get it so that I can hold it easily. Alright, let me drive this down flat, tight. So I got it in flat, tight. It actually, they work pretty good. They line up fairly well. We got a little adjusting to do, but not too much. And now we'll get them in there and get that riveted. Could just use the torch. Nah. I gotta heat it back up anyway to adjust it. Alright, do a big clean out here. Man, I'm getting to the point where I got so much clinker in this fire that I'm putting it in and it's not warming up where I want it to, and there's just so many big cold spots in the fire. So sometimes you just gotta stop, clean it. And you can see what I dug out right there. Maybe you can see it. Get the air back on, get her warming back up so we can finish these darn things. I'll be glad when this coal is gone. But like I said, it was very cheap. So I'm not really complaining. It does work. I'm able to forge with it. We could use our pockets, just couldn't be bulky. Actually, I can tell you for a fact that it is true, Thomas. And here's how I can explain it. Right there, okay. So, if that piece is a little over 1/4 of an inch thick, okay, and you drilled out this diameter, where's my, I don't know where I put the little punch after I got done with it. Okay, If you drilled out that diameter, it would be that diameter times whatever thickness the material is. Now I removed that diameter, but it's only about a 1/16 of an inch thick, as opposed to it would be a 1/4 of an inch. It would be 4 times that much if I drilled it removed. The steel doesn't pack down tight, you know, as far as you're hitting it, you're not compressing the mass. I went in and I took the tapered one and pushed some of the material out before I started, and then you push down, the material still goes somewhere, it pushes out of the way. But you wouldn't have that thin a slug. If you drilled it, it'd be that diameter times whatever the thickness is. Now I've driven out slugs that were that thick out of bars that were 3/4 of an inch, and that slug was only that thick instead of that diameter 3/4 of an inch tall. Alright, let's get some heat. I get myself a small ball peen. I mean, I could probably go up one size ball peen. It'd probably be a little better than that tiny one. I don't want a really huge one either. It's just that most of my ball peens got reshaped. Oh, there's my punch, which did get mushroomed, but I don't care. Like I said, it was a very cheap punch. Okay, so they work. I'm going to take another heat, work on lining them up and sizing them to our 3/8 square. Just looking down along the length and seeing how far off they look. They're not horrible. And they're usable tongs. They're not going to win any beauty contest, that's for sure. Now we're just going to keep moving them back and forth when we put them in the water. Alright, so problems. That one's a little longer than that one. Easily solved. Okay, both the same length. Where did my 3/8 bar go? Yeah. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's 3/8 round. Yeah, that fits good. They're reasonably straight. Straight out that way. Got a little kick that way. We can straighten that pretty easily. Went too far. That looks pretty good. Alright. Oh, and there's my bar sitting right there. We're going to set this one down. Alright, so there's the tongs. They work fairly well. One's longer than the other. Once again, easily fixed. Easily fixed. Now they're both the same. I mean, you will see that this is bigger in diameter than that, which means that up on this end, this side must have a little more. No, it does. It's got a little more thickness than that one, which is why when I got down here, this is thinner than that. I mean, it's not horrible. The tongs are lined up, the handles come together, it's a comfortable grip. I can grab 3/8 square, 3/8 round, and it'd probably work pretty good even for maybe 1/8 inch or so, a little thicker than this in flat. Like a 3/16, it would probably grab 3/16 or even quarter pretty good. So if you wanted to grab from the side like a 1/4 inch flat bar, not too well, but it will grab it if you don't have anything else. So there we go, and they didn't come out looking too terribly bad. And that was just freehanding it. You know, I just said, I think I need 1.5 inches for this on my starting bar. And about 1 inch for this. Well, 1 inch for that was way wrong. I discovered that after I got it narrowed down. I mean, they're not the longest tongs, they're not the greatest tongs. they're good for a beginner. I'll probably take them to an iron in the hat, put them in an iron in the hat. But remember, I got all my dimensions for these off of a sheet that I got in a tong class that told you, take this much material, draw it out to this much, and look at how big them are compared to them. Oh, sorry. Them are compared to them. Yeah, I mean, it's not, they're not bad tongs. And I gotta tell you guys, I mean, one of the things I like about doing these live streams on Sundays is it gets me back out in the shop. Because, to be honest with you, after I did my candelabra, I haven't hardly been out in the shop at all. I made one, elaborate-ish project was an urn, and that was as much woodworking as it was blacksmithing. But yeah, these are a serviceable set of tongs. I mean, with them I could take a bar and make a leaf hook or something out of my 3/8 bar with that. And you got to remember, these tongs here, they look great and they're beautiful tongs. But he's also got dies on his power hammer that are specially made, and those dies are made just to make that size tong. And the dies are made to make these size tongs. So every one of these is just a different set of dies. Even on these, that's quarter, that's 3/8. But if you look in the bosses, they're two different sizes. So he has a different set of dies for each and every size of these flat jaws as well. Now those bosses look pretty close to the same. Those might be the same die. But I don't think so, because those are longer. And those are even longer. So probably each and every one of these has its own set of dies. So, I mean, if you have the dies and it's just a matter of go over here and pop, 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 then go over to the next step in the die, pop, 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 because he's got a big hammer and he'll have the die where he does this part in one spot. Then he flips it, slides it in, does that part in the next. And the die's got stops on it and sets the thickness and everything for him, and then he flips it and does that, and it's all built into the die, made just to make the tongs. And don't get me wrong, they're great tongs, but at the same time, if Dave Custer were to do them, they'd probably be really nice looking tongs anyway, even if he hand forged them. But they wouldn't all match and be exactly the same, and they all be as nice by hand. So, quarter, half, 5/8. And I think this is the first live stream in a while that we actually finished and didn't mess it up. Because the last couple haven't gone too well with the bells and the, what was it, the forks and the other, this, that, and the other things. But yeah, like I said, this is I'll probably just take these and put them in an iron in the hat and give them away to some new smith in our club that needs, once a year we have an annual meeting, and a lot of times somebody will make a wooden toolbox, and then they'll ask people to forge out some hammers and some tongs and whatnot, and make a beginner's toolbox that they will, you know, sell raffle tickets on and stuff. Wanted to make a big entrance. You missed the starting stock. What did I start with? Oh, railroad track spikes. I had cut the heads off them though, Kevin. I just used the help me out here. Somebody help me out here. I used just the 5/8 square material and cut the heads off. So it's not any super high alloy, it's not anything that's, you know.
So they wanted to make a big entrance and missed the starting spot.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, why would I use them when I have those 3/8? You know. Now, don't get me wrong, I could save them around if I ever come across something that these don't fit over. But these might, because they're a little bit bigger. But I probably won't. I will probably just, you know, throw them in an iron in a hat or in a toolbox. A beginner's toolbox to be given away. Yeah, probably like 5.5 inches of 5/8. Whatever, I cut, you know, right below the head. I cut it off and use that. Because usually when you make smaller tongs, 5/8 square is a good size. I suppose this would have probably been maybe better in 3/4, because it would have left room to make them reins a little bit longer. But, you know, I mean, they start getting too hot, quench them. Alright guys, so that finishes up another adventure in the forge. And like I said, I kind of enjoy coming out and doing the Sunday thing because it gets me back out in my shop again. I mean, I was kind of, you know, after I did that candelabra, I was burnt out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I know what my next big project is, and I just keep putting off starting it. So I am going to let the fire go out and call it. That was the clinker that I pulled out in that last clean out. I only cleaned out just enough to, oh, that's starting to get full and roll back out. I'll have to empty my chimney out here pretty soon. I always take my clinker and just throw it up in there. And whatnot. I'll let that go down a little bit. Yeah, and everybody, I encourage everybody to get out to the shop and make something, do something. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. A lot of people see my finished projects and they just think I'm better than what I am, but they don't see how many times I cheated behind the scenes, or how many times, you know, I failed and have a pile of failures to make one project because I want to get it just a certain way. They just see that finished piece and they're like, oh, hey, wow. So, you know, watching this, you know, now you guys can see me live, you'll know if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not that good. So, stick with it. Keep hammering. Probably be here again next Sunday. You know, I kind of, that was one thing I wanted to ask too, was if there was a better time that would work for people. I mean, I kind of just jumped into Sunday 6 because that used to be Yamaz's old time. And nobody else was, you know, doing a live stream on Sundays at 6. But I also only have like 25 subscribers on my YouTube, so, you know, getting better at leaves. Yeah, leaves take a while. I mean, sometimes I make ugly leaves still. You know, I got some that, you know, within the last 10 leaves I've made that I cut right through in the center of it because I went too deep. And, you know, one of them don't know when to stop deals. Now, if I compare that 3/8 to, I think those are my 3/8. These are my old 3/8, and these were, the Ken's Custom Iron blanks. But those were my old ones that I used for years. And they were just knock them up real quick and make a set of, you know, I ordered like 27 pairs of blanks, and all right, perfect for me. Down under, I enjoy the time. Yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't know if anybody wanted me to go a little earlier because sometimes we run till like 9 o'clock at night. You know, I don't really want to run any later, because my wife will be screaming at me, you know. But yeah, there's a good little set of tongs. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, they work pretty good. They're not the prettiest thing. The longer you look at them, the more you see that this curve doesn't match this curve, and it's a little tighter back here than up there. This one's pretty close to being smooth and the same curve all the way around. You know, I mean, but they're little things that it's just visual, but you can look at them, you can work on them, and the next pair might be better. Oh, yeah, I don't even remember where the chat is, to be honest with you. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, Thomas, if I got a few people watching, you know, pretty much what I've ran into is on this channel, I don't think anybody's been on this channel that I haven't actually met in real life. So, it's not the end of the world if I don't get a bunch of, you know, ton of subscribers, because when I look up and I see those regulars, I say, hey, I met him, I met him, I met him. You know, and they'll always be, for me, my core group, more so than just some guy that pops in that, you know, I've never seen or never met, and, you know how that goes. And you'll always get that one guy that pops in and wants to tell you how you're doing, everything that you're doing is wrong, you know. So, yeah, these will go in the pile that I got started of stuff that I've made during streams that I just needed put in iron in hats or give away. Okay, the chat is on Instagram, and I'm rarely ever on Instagram, to be honest with you, Tom. If you want to invite people, that's fine. I mean, I don't care. Like I said, as long as I got a few people watching, and when you guys have side conversations, it's great because then I can see that somebody is actually still here, and I'm not just, working and talking and talking and talking to keep you interested if there's nobody here. But, alright guys, I am going to call it. I think this might be one of the earliest ones I've ended. It's 8:45, so, alright.